Traveling within Africa doesn't have to be so stressful. And for me, my recent experience with Air Côte D'ivoire was just too much, especially when I was traveling for the African Development Bank annual meetings where we were talking about development in Africa, traveling, borderless Africa, traveling to do business and trade within the region and all of that. It was just so terrible. Let me start off how it all went. So basically, I was leaving on Saturday. So the original flight was supposed to be at 11 something. So I went to the airport quite early, and I didn't even notice that they had changed the flight because it was delayed. The aeroplane didn't come early. So I think from 11 it was moved to about 1, which meant that our connecting flight from Abidjan to Congo Brazzaville wasn't going to happen. And so they had rescheduled, and I think we were not supposed to leave at 1, and then we leave Abidjan to Brazzaville at 3. So even that delayed flight that was supposed to go at 1, I think was eventually delayed again. And so we reached Abidjan just after 3 o'clock, and then our flight had left, so we couldn't make the connection. And this is where the stress really began. I mean, you know, typically when you travel elsewhere and you are missing your flight, the airline sort of coordinated and they know that somebody is coming. And then when you get off, they put you in a short connection queue or something, and then you rapidly move with urgency to board the flight. This is not what happened. And funny enough, the moment we touched down, the pilot or the whatever announced that their ground staff will be coordinating for those who had connecting flights. And that was not what happened. So the moment we went, I mean, it's French, and so sometimes don't know where to stand and things like that, although they are clearly marked. So we were in the queue when we arrived, hoping to make a flight. And then if you've been to the Abidjan airport, you realize if you have a transfer or connection, what you do is you go through another queue, they check, and then you go through somewhere, and then you go through security and then continue. But what annoyed me was I met one staff, and then I gave her my itinerary, and she knew I was going on Brazzaville, and she looked at it and said, "Oh, cool, join this line," knowing fully that I have missed the flight. She tells me to go and join the line, and then eventually it was my turn. I meet the ladies there. She looked at my flight and then now tells me to go to another desk because that lady is supposed to attend to me. So bottom line, the thing was we had missed our flight, and so it meant they were going to reschedule us for another flight the following day. And for me, there was no urgency. I mean, knowing that we had missed our flight, I think the best thing they should have done was just meet us and say, "Oh, you've missed the flight, sit here." After that, we would arrange for you to go to the hotel, blah, blah, blah. So it's a lay down procedure. You just go, you don't seem wanting, you're not lost. And that's not what happened. Instead, they were pretending, wasting everybody's time. And actually, they felt like it was normal. The girls were giggling, and I got pissed. Unfortunately, my French wasn't that good, so I couldn't let them know, but I think they could tell that I was angry. So I was like, "Okay, fine, we've missed the flight, what next?" And then they said, "Oh, you stand there." And then we were standing there, nothing was happening. And then somebody else, I saw another person, I asked, "So what are we doing? Are we collecting our bags? What are we doing?" Because if you've missed our flight and you're supposed to go the same time, it means it's not like an overnight thing, an early morning thing, so we have a longer time. So basically now somebody else comes, says that, collects those of us who missed our flight. And the funny thing was, it wasn't just the one to Brazzaville, Congo Brazzaville. So many people had missed their flight. But immediately on our flight from Ghana, we had people from going to Dakar that had also missed their flight, and other places. So basically they tell us to, some lady takes us out of the queue, takes us to immigration, even didn't follow us, come with us to immigration, took us to a point we were lost, and the immigration people had a break or something, so they wouldn't even pay attention to us. We didn't know what we were doing. Then the lady emerged again, took us out, and eventually we checked out. And then now we thought we were going to get on a shuttle to take us to wherever hotel they were taking us. But guess what? We had to wait for another 20 minutes or so because we found out that there were more people who had missed their flights. And these were different flights from different parts of Africa going to different so it's like it's a norm for them to continue doing that, because to have 3 or 4 people on different flights missing their flights is not normal. Anyway, so they take us to a hotel, a ridiculously annoying hotel. I'll get to that also. So we go to the hotel. Unfortunately, I didn't have my luggage, nothing, and so all I had was my backpack with a computer and my chargers and everything. So we go to the hotel. One of my friends who was also leaving to cover the event in Congo had, for him, based on previous experience, he didn't even check his bag in. So he packed light and took his luggage to the plane, and so he had something he could use to shower, clean up, go into a fresh pair of like clothing and everything for the flight the following day. So we were in there. It seemed like they were taking care of us. And then, I mean, they gave us dinner because of the time it was. We had dinner. We ate. It wasn't the best of dinner. Not too many options. Just one fixed meal, and then you had to eat that. So after dinner, some people had a flight midnight. They were going back to the airport at midnight. And for some reason, they thought we were part of that. But I told them, no, we are going to Congo, Brazzaville. And the most possible time that we would fly would be around 3 the following day. And so the lady at the reception wasn't so sure. And so I told her to check. And then she checks and now tells me that the agent with the airline now says that we were supposed to leave on a Wednesday to Congo. Mind you, this is a Saturday. So we're going to stay at this godforsaken hotel from Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before we get a flight to Congo. And I was like, okay, whatever. Then I started now talking to Air Côte D'ivoire via Twitter. And so they were like, okay, give me your details, we check and let you know. So I was like, because there's no way we are going to be kept in this hotel for that long. So I started chatting with them, and then I gave them the details and then went to bed. So just when I was deep asleep, now those who were leaving at 12, it was time for them to leave. And then this hotel staff comes banging on the door, boom, 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 get ready, leave. And I'm like, no, my flight, I'm going to Congo, Brazzaville, there's no way I'm leaving at this time. He says no, he argues with me. And this guy was very rude. Anyway, he argues with me, and then I call everybody on my flight. We all get ready to go with them as they want. And then one of our friends was still sleeping, Mano. And so I was like, if we are supposed to leave, then I'm not leaving with him. We must call. And then they barged into his room one way or the other. And basically he said he wasn't going to leave. He was tired, so he was sleeping. And so the 3 of us now joined the queue, and it seemed like we're delaying everybody else on the bus. So we go to the airport. Bottom line, we're not supposed to be there. We go to the airline's office with the driver from the hotel, and now the hotel, they tell, oh no, we're not leaving at that time. Our flight would be 3 p.m. So the driver shakes his head and now blames the airline, like, oh, apologizes for the inconvenience. And then we go back to the hotel, just the 3 of us. We went back to the hotel, and obviously everybody was ashamed to see us because they were inept or whatever. And so we finally go to sleep. And then in the morning, we had breakfast. And then I think, so we had arranged with the driver from the previous night that since our flight was at 3, we would leave the hotel at 12. So at 12, I get down, rally everybody. We are like ready. Now the hotel says they're not giving us a shuttle because according to their book, we were supposed to leave on the Wednesday. I'm like, there's no fucking way, sorry for my harsh word, that we're going to stay here. It doesn't make sense. And then I angrily said, oh, let's get into an Uber. So we get onto the Uber, go to the airport. Our friend from Nigeria was able to check in. But when we went in, they said we needed a new ticket. And I could understand because our original ticket was different from that one because we were supposed to do Accra, Abidjan, then Port Noir to Brazzaville. And that original booking was the one that was delayed. So they had moved us to Abidjan, Kinshasa, and then Brazzaville. And because our booking was not like that, so when we were moving on to the new flight, they needed a whole new ticketing for us. So after going to the counter, they told us to go to the airline office. So we went out and eventually we got our new ticket. And then we got on the board, on the bus. We got onto the plane, made our way to Kinshasa. No, we didn't make our way to Kinshasa, let me tell you. So we board the plane, and for a good 2 hours, we were on the tarmac, not moving. I slept, woke up, we were still there, and all I could hear is, when they're opening the boot, let me call it a boot, you can hear some squeaky sound. It was disturbing, so I woke up. And we were still there, we had not left. And apparently, I heard, because one person found out, was asking around, a bag that wasn't supposed to be on the flight had gotten in. And so they spent some time removing all the bags so that they take that one out and then reload the bus, the plane with the bags. So that's what I heard. So yes, we wasted 2 hours and finally we took off, went to Kinshasa, of course, with the Ebola scare. I was really, really hoping nobody would get on the flight from there. And fortunately, they didn't allow anybody. So basically, they only dropped off some passengers who were going to Kinshasa from Abidjan. They dropped them, we waited, and then we left to Congo, Brazzaville. Beautiful place and wonderful experience from there. So getting back from Congo, kudos to the airline. This time, it was a very early morning flight. We left at 8:30. They were on schedule. It was smooth. We went to Port Noir, loaded some other passengers from Port Noir, joined us, and then we went to Abidjan. Really, really smooth. But unfortunately, from Abidjan back to Accra, had a bit of an issue again. It was delayed for a bit, and even when we got in and we were about to leave, we stayed on for about 30 minutes or so because one passenger who was supposed to go didn't have the right documents, and so they had to deplane him and offload his bags, I think, and that delayed us as well. So this is my story, very, very traumatic, I might say, and I don't know, a lot must change. Air Côte d'Ivoire, a lot must change. You have to run a more efficient airline, especially when you're connecting people, because I've used it a few times. The staff in Ghana are very, very nice. And it's safer if it's just one flight. There might only be a delay and then you get to your destination. That's if you're just going to Abidjan. So it's safe to use, I think, because in the past, that's what I've done. But this was really, really disappointing. And share with me if you had any similar experience with Air Côte d'Ivoire or any other airline, and tell me why does it have to be so difficult traveling within Africa. Bye.